Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, we're continuing with part 2 in the series with the regular hammer drill versus an SDS rotary hammer drill, okay? So if you missed it in part 1 was we ran this drill, which is actually a Dewalt DCD999 on speed 3 on hammer drill mode using the same bit to try to get maximum performance and see how it compares or stacks up against rotary hammer drills that we've tested so far or that are currently on the market, okay? So we took some of the feedback that you guys had, and you know, we were planning to do this video later anyway, so it's a good time to just do it now, okay? So like I said, in part 1 we ran it on speed 3, which is actually really high in BPM and RPM, and mind you, this is the DCD999 with the FLEXVOLT battery. So if you watch the hammer drill series or the drill series, then you know that this drill is one of the top performers in hammer drill mode, which is why we decided to use this drill, right? So the thing we concluded in part 1 was, you know, running it on speed 3 was not necessarily the smartest or didn't produce the best results, and you know, our thought process comes down to is just burning up the bit, because it's just spinning so fast and just hammering so many times, the bit is just getting burnt up, okay? So that was obviously not smart, okay? Because we also know that this drill has more speeds, right? And unlike rotary hammer drills, the impact force on this drill comes from the user putting force down on it, right? So the impact energy is almost unmeasurable because there's no rotary hammer action, but it's literally just the force of the user, okay? So with that being said, some of the things that we think we should do is run it on lower speeds and then also use best practices to drill it, right? So what best practices means: put a lot of force, let it drill a little bit. When you see the dust ejection, let's say, slow down a little bit, you pull it up to, you know, clean the port out, and then you keep drilling, right? That's probably best practices for, you know, hammer drills or just drilling in general, right? Especially in masonry, because, you know, that's got to go somewhere. So with that being said, we're back here to test this on mode 1, and then we're also going to test it on mode 2 using pretty much best practices on some of that stuff. So let's get to it. All right, so that test was very interesting, and let's go take a look at the numbers and the recap. All right, so before we do that, I'm going to remind you this drill was ran using a fully charged FLEXVOLT 9 amp hour battery, which is a 9 amp hour battery in this tool, right? And we use a brand new SDS bit that we've been using in all the hammer drill test so far, or the SDS rotary hammer drill so far, drilling the same depth, okay? So with the brand new bit, aka not using the burned bit, let's go and take a look, right? So first we ran the drill, or the hammer drill, in mode 1, okay? And you obviously saw that we spread it out for you a little bit because, you know, you don't want to sit around just watching holes drill, right? That's pretty much saying let's just sit around watching paint dry. Anyways, we ran that and it just took a long time, right? So we can throw up a clip of that if you want, but it just took a long time. So then we might change to mode 2 and then, you know, did some better practices with hammer drilling. So let's go take a look, right? On the first run, mode 2, it took 15.75 seconds. Second run took 19.3 seconds. And on the third run took 22.12 seconds. Taking an average of 3 runs comes in at 19.06 seconds, okay? So, like I mentioned earlier, impact force of this hammer drill doesn't really have too much because it's variable depending on the user, obviously. And the BPM of running this tool on speed 2 is 25,500 and the RPM is 1,300, okay? So, with that being said, let's go take a look at where this tool ranks on the leaderboard, all right? So with a score of 19.06, it actually ranks in 12th place on the leaderboard, beating out the DeWalt DCH133, right, which is a D-handle style, 20-volt max tool, right, and also the Makita XRH04, and also the Milwaukee 2713-20, right, but right, it has improved, let's just say 1, 2, 3, 4 slots up on the leaderboard, right? So if you took apart DCD999 in the previous episode, that tool scored a whopping 35.77. But on this episode, with better practices, it actually moved up in ranking with a score of 19.06, which is a pretty significant increase for, a half inch wide and 6-inch depth hole, right? So taking a look at the numbers, let's go take a better look at the comparison here. So running this drill, the same drill on speed 3, no load, RPM and BPM speeds were RPM of 2250 compared to speed 2, which is at 1300, and BPM of 38,250 versus 25,500, okay? So speed 2 or gear 2, whatever you want to call it, definitely brings the numbers down, which we think is actually helping the bit last a little bit longer. So let's go take a look at that also, right? So if you remember on part 1, the first hole was drilled on speed 3 at roughly around 37 seconds or 35 seconds, right? And then speed 2, it just couldn't complete. On speed 3, we just didn't even try, right? It just didn't make sense because it just won't get it done, right? But when using it on speed 2, the first run was 15.75 seconds. Second run took almost 4 seconds more, right? And then the third run took almost 3 seconds more, right? So progressively, it is getting slower and slower, and potentially, we're just gonna say, it may be the bit is getting warmer and warmer. I don't know, maybe, or the drill is getting warmer and warmer. But considering we only really drilled, let's just say 4 holes, because we also tested on speed 1, right? The bit is probably, or the drill shouldn't technically be overheating at that point, right? You could argue against it, you could argue not, but the point is that progressively as time went on, the runs got slower, okay? So, what can we say about this test or this drill or any of this, right? So obviously the DCD999 is a hammer drill and it's designed to drill holes and also drill and drive stuff, right? But there is a point where you want to use a hammer drill and where you need to use a rotary hammer drill to get the job done. And where that point is probably less than, say a 1/2 inch wide bit, maybe 3/8. Maybe too close, maybe a 1/4 inch is probably the max, who knows. The point here is that you can get the job done, assuming you need to drill very little amount of holes using a regular hammer drill. But the real lesson is, if you want to do real masonry work or real concrete work or drilling holes in concrete, you need an SDS rotary hammer, okay? Because I will say this again, all right? In the previous episode, I did say there's a huge user input required to use a drill driver hammer drill like this to drill holes in concrete, because the user is putting all the force into it. You will be tired out or fatigued significantly faster using this tool versus an SDS rotary hammer to get pretty much the same job done, all right? If you go look at the leaderboard, the slower tools, the DCH133 or the XRH04 or even the, the the lower ranked Makita 2713, those are all rotary hammers, so that sure, it took longer to get the job done, but if you got to drill, let's just say 20 holes, you're going to be better off using, you know, that tool and just not fatiguing yourself out versus just putting so much force on this, you're just not going to be able to get it done. Okay, so anyways, I'll stop jibber jabbering. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, let us know. If you have any comments, let us know. Or if you think we did something wrong or we should do something better, definitely let us know. But we will be, you know, continuing to take other tools and set them up on the same test and then try to see how they rank on the leaderboard. So if you want to watch more of that stuff, come back next week and we'll see you guys next time.